Hi everyone, this is Crafty Decoria, and today I'm going to start the DIY with my foam cones and my 3 wooden dowels. Now these I have purchased at the Dollar Tree. These particular cones I've already used in a previous DIY. I will post the link in the description box below if you care to see what that DIY was. But I did make it for a hot cocoa bar station, and all the chocolates were used, and so now the bottom part of that DIY I'm presently using it as a candle holder, and I figured I could just repurpose the top to make this DIY today. Okay, so I've already done this step, but I'm going to walk you through it so you know what I did to put this together. I took a dowel, and from the top I measured just over 1 inch, and then I made a mark. I did the same thing to the other two. This way I know how far I want to push my dowel into the cone so that they are roughly all the same height. Then I take my foam cone and I place it in the center, and I start applying pressure, and as I'm applying pressure I am turning, applying pressure, turning until I get to that mark that I made in my dowel. Then again, I will do the same thing with the other two. Now, if you want, you can glue the dowel in, but I'm not going to, because this way, if I want to take the cone off and use it in another area of my home, I can always do that. And it stays on the dowel very nice and secure. Now, once I've done that and all 3 cones are on my dowel, then I'm going to take my mesh tubing. And this as well I purchased at the Dollar Tree, and starting from the top I'm going to wrap the tubing all the way around till I get to the bottom, and again I'll do this to all 3 of the cones. So I finished wrapping all 3 cones, and I absolutely love using the mesh tubing in making these trees. They just come out so beautiful, much more expensive than what I really spent to make it. So now with the bottom, I did not continue wrapping the mesh tube on the bottom, because if I want to take these off the dowels and just place them on the table, I would like them to sit nice and flat. So all I'm going to do is just take my silver metallic acrylic paint that I purchased from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to paint the bottoms of the cones as well as the very tips with the Okay, so now to construct the box of the centerpiece. For that, I will be using 2 of these rectangular frames. They are 3 4-inch by 6-inch, and then I'll be using 2 of these 3.5 by 5 picture frames. Now, when you are making this, because what I found I had to do was, while I was in the Dollar Tree, I took my rectangular frame, and then I picked out different frames and just held it up to the rectangular frame to see which would work best, because not all 3.5 by 5s are going to fit the same. Some have thinner frames. This one here had a thicker frame, and it just fit the best. So if you're going to make this as you're in the Dollar Tree, just put some frames up to the rectangular one to see which one will work best for you. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to unwrap them from the packages. I'm going to take out the cardboard, the paper, as well as the little metal tabs that hold everything in. Okay, so using my E6000 glue as well as my hot glue, I'm just going to run a bead all the way around the inner lip, and then I will take all of the glass to the frames and then insert them back in. Okay, so now to build the box, I'm going to take my rectangular frame and my 3.5 by 5 frame, and I'm going to butt the smaller frame up to the larger one, and with my E6000 glue and hot glue, I'm going to glue that in place. Now you just want to make sure that the bottom is flush. There will be a very tiny gap at the top. And then you're going to glue on your other frame to the other side, and once you have all three pieces, you're going to take your last rectangular frame. I'm going to lay this down flat and then glue this on top. Okay, so my box is all glued together. Now if you didn't want to do this next step, if you were making this, then no problem. But I'm going to do this just to give the inside a little bit of a nicer finish. So what I ended up doing in all the corners of the box, I ended up just filling in those cavities with glue. So as you can see, all in here, in every corner, I filled it with glue, just to give it a little bit more strength to the box. So what I'm going to do to cover that up, now mind you, this piece here, the way that I'll be using it is that for every season I will fill it with something that goes along with that season. So for example, in the spring, I would probably just put a lot of spring flowers in here. For the fall, I would fill it with leaves, and you will see today I will be filling it with faux snow. So you won't really see the inside, but just for my sanity, I'm just going to go around all the frames with my mesh tubing and glue that tubing all along the edge. So as I said, it will just give it a nicer finish. Okay, so I have finished wrapping the inside with the mesh tubing. Because this is my first time making this piece, I really wasn't sure how the mesh tubing was going to work. So there's a couple tips I would recommend should you decide to try this piece for yourself. Now, when I applied the mesh tubing on the inside, I thought if I started at the bottom and then just continually wrapped it all the way around and then came to my starting point, that it would be quicker and easier. But what I found with this mesh tubing is that, first of all, if you pull a little bit on it, it's going to not look uniform. It's going to look thinner in areas and then wider in areas. So then what I also realized is when I got to the corner, it made a curve. The only way that I could get it nicely tucked into the corner is if I pinched it. And if I did that, again, it wouldn't look uniform all the way around. So what I recommend if you try this is that when you are placing your mesh tubing, I would cut each length separately and then cut the ends on an angle and then attach them that way, like glue them together that way, almost like a picture frame, because you will get a really nice finish that way. This way I wasn't really happy with it. And not only that, now when I did the inside, I realized after that you can see the glue to the front of the glass. So what I ended up doing again now is applying the mesh tubing to the front of the box, which I am glad I did it anyway, because it just really gives it a much nicer look to this piece. It almost gives the effect of a diamond wrapped. But I really think that this mesh tubing is a great deal if you come across it, because it does come in a 9-foot length, so you do get a lot out of the mesh tubing. By the time I'm done this DIY, I will almost have used 3 bags of the mesh tube. So again, if you're gonna do it, I would really recommend you just get such a nice clean finish when you cut each piece, and then cut your ends on an angle again and then glue them together. So now once I finish wrapping the rest of the outside with the mesh tubing, I will work on the base of So now for the base of the box, I'm just going to be using some ready board. So I just placed my box right in the corner of the ready board. This is a leftover piece that I had. And then I'm just going to trace these 2 sides, and then I'll cut it out and then glue it on with my E6000 and hot. So my ready board is glued on to the bottom now. There are 2 ways that you can cover this up, because as you can see, you see the foam here. And you could either, before you glue this on, you could wrap it in a vinyl or the drawer, you know, the drawer vinyl that the Dollar Tree sells. You could always wrap it up in that first and then glue it on and you'd be done. Or since I've already used this mesh tubing, I'm just going to continue and wrap it along the bottom to finish it off. Now again, I will be cutting each end and cutting each length and then gluing them together. Okay, so I have gone around the bottom of the box with the mesh tubing to cover the ready board. Now I have 2 Believe mirrored stickers that I purchased from the Dollar Tree, and I've already stuck one on the back. Now I'm going to stick the other one on the front. Okay, so I've placed my dry floral foam on the inside. Now I did have to purchase 2 because one just wasn't quite long enough, so the second one I cut it in half. Now I'm going to take my cone trees with the dowel. I'm going to space them out evenly inside of the box and insert them into the floral. So now I'm going to add the finishing touches. I will be adding 2 boxes of the copper wire LED lights that the Dollar Tree carries. Also, I will be filling up the box with this artificial snow. Now this I purchased at Dollarama because I couldn't find anything at the Dollar Tree. But if I hadn't have found this, then I probably just would have purchased a bag of cotton balls at Dollar Tree and then just pull the cotton balls apart and it'll work out great just the same. They do sell little tiny balls, styrofoam balls, but you would have to buy a lot of bags to fill up this box. So the cotton balls are a great option to use as well. Now once I fill this up, what I'll do is I will put a little bit of the snow, and then I'll add 1 box of the lights, then I'll add some more snow, add the lights, and then top it with some more snow. Another little tip too, when I did add the styrofoam, it kind of was a little bit wobbly because they are 2 pieces. So a little tip is just add a little bit of hot glue between them and hold it together until it dries, and then you'll have a sturdier piece. All right, everyone, so here is my winter Believe decor centerpiece, and I absolutely love how this has turned out. Everything from the artificial snow to the lights to the mirrored stickers, the cone trees, the mesh tubing, everything just looks so beautiful together. Very simple but very beautiful. And this is going to look great in my kitchen. I will be placing it on my tiny island, but it will look so beautiful lit up at night. And I love that you can see it all the way around. You can see through it, and you can see the Believe on the front and the back of the piece. So I am super happy with how this has turned out. It took a little bit of time and patience wrapping the mesh tubing, but in the end it was all worth it. So that'll do it for this DIY. I really hope that you enjoyed it. I love this piece, and as I said, I will love displaying this in my home. If you liked this DIY, and I really hope you did, please like the video, share the video, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I really hope you do so. As always, guys, you take care of yourselves, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye-bye.